Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Okay. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh and welcome to the most famous show talk in this era, which is about the future talk. And me, Ahmad Hafizi, as your moderator. First of all, I would like to say thank you because all of us managed to sit together and can talk about our future together. So now I would like to open our talk about sustainable Islamic development in how to design and develop a new township in compliance and according to the Sustainable Development Goals 2030 and Maqasid Syariah. So, the product of architecture is the creation of built environment. In its process, it often causes threats to the environment itself, consume 50% of natural resources, 40% energy, and 26% of water. Hendrickson and Howard 2000 in Environmental 2012 also added that the environment is significantly influenced by the construction. The number above shows that architecture consumes a big part of environment and cause impact, either good or bad impact to the environment. Moreover, the consuming will lead to further environment degradation of the sector does not implement sustainable architecture concept. As globally, there is need to see sustainable architecture in Islamic perspective. Through Islamic perspective, it can be seen whether this concept is parallel with Islamic values which based on Al-Quran and Hadith related to the environment. This study is literature review which analyzes the implementation of sustainable architecture and compensates it with Islamic values. Sustainable development goals contain about 17 goals, as we know, come under objective of Islamic law and has been explained comprehensively way back 1,400 years ago by Almighty Allah in Al-Quran and by Prophet Muhammad SAW in his tradition. Just an example, in Sustainable Development Goals number 16, dealing with promotion of peace, justice, and strong institutions, which all come under protection of religion in Islamic law. Islamic derived from root word salam, which means peace. Hence, a person entering Islam is entering peace and submitting his will to Almighty Allah. So now, we would like to know more about the Sustainable Development Goals by hearing from one and only our Deputy Prime Minister, Datuk Seri Tengku Haikal. So we would like to know on how your role in keeping the Sustainable Development Goals at the same time maintaining the Maqasid Syariah Islamic view in manage this country. Would you like to give us some opinion?
Okay, thank you Encik Hafizi as moderator. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you for the question. As we see the newly adopted Sustainable Development Goals, SDG recognize that global development issues will not be solved without leadership. I, as a leader, have a big responsibility to look after the welfare of my people. In a hadith quoted by Abdullah ibn Umar, the Prophet Muhammad SAW said, "Every one of you is a shepherd and is responsible for his flock." Sahih al-Bukhari and Muslim. It's our target to implement this movement by dedicating this goal SDG2030 that focus on cities and human settlements. It is a wake-up call for the leadership of local governments, yet the role of local actors extend beyond achieving the SDG2030. We are in a country with applied Islamic principle as a main core. Thus, Maqasid Syariah is very important to be used as a tool, method of view in every matter. Especially Malaysia, we are a developed country that integrate the development of an Islamic city and sustainable development in achieving human needs and progress in line with Syariah policies. Allah Subhanahu wa Taala said in Surah Al-Ma'idah verse 3, A'udzubillahi minasyaitonir rajim. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. This day I have perfected for you your religion and completed my favor upon you and have approved for you Islam as religion. Islam is a comprehensive or shumul religion that we see in setting guidelines and procedure by performing ibadah, obedience, in carrying out orders and laws, including national rules and laws that do not conflict with the Sharia. Umar radhiyallahu anhu argues that as a leader and administrator of the state, he needs a Maqasid approach as the decision depended heavily in the basis of issue and masalah. In line with the needs of the SDG and Maqasid Syariah, we as government leaders are very serious about the issue of poverty and hunger in this country, which is to take care of the life of the people as mentioned in second principle of Maqasid Syariah. If enough, because of the variety of matters affecting this issue, our roles and responsibility as local government to make a move. Generally, it includes and focus very inclusively meet the needs of the urban poor, promote accountability and transparency. Second, targeting urban housing, planning and architectural design that impact the creation and distribution of well both in newly built and already existing high-risk urban neighborhoods. Now, in challenging era of COVID-19 pandemic, all countries around the world face a big impact of sudden issues. For fourth, our government put high responsibility to enhancing a system of equal opportunities by providing information on how to recover from disaster and escape poverty trap and jobless. Next, boosting inclusive education to enhance employability or second work, example, workforce integration programs. Besides that, fostering business ethnic of local business communities whose operation have direct impact on poor and rural communities. If we look on other perspective, cities today generate nearly 80% of global gross domestic product (GDP). They are the world's major powerhouses of global economic growth and local centers of economic production and consumption activities, commerce and money distribution. Until now, no country has achieved sustained economic and social development without urbanization. Countries with the highest per capita income are usually more urbanized, while low-income countries are predominantly rural. The growth and prosperity of world nations does critically depend on the way urban areas evolve and the development of new, inclusive economic models in cities. Nature in targeting strong development in as Islamic country and city. The level of economic development and employment is serious issue to be noticed. Maqasid Syariah has mentioned in fourth and fifth principle applying that protection of land edge, hif an-nas, and property, hif al-mal, is doriyah, which should be not by every Muslim to have a good planning of finance for short and long term. One of the best movement by government is to have a greater number of partnerships. As we have a detailed overview in Surah Al-Qasas, verse 23 until 28, of Prophet Musa collaboration with Prophet Shu'aib in business management. The meeting of Prophet Musa with Prophet Shu'aib which ultimately set them on cooperation with the agreement of our values. This is why we need to look progressively in development and application of life related to the management of self-employment, finance and administration. Government cooperation with various public, private and civil societies partner can attract financial means to implement different projects and can promote better inclusiveness during their implementation. Generally, we can take a leading role in SDG 17, as well as take an active part in building partnership themselves by building close networks with local, governmental and international bodies, the private sector and civil society. Second, strengthening means of implementation locally, such as capacity building, tax and other revenue collection. Third, assisting developing stakeholders in attaining long-term debt sustainability. Policies aim at fostering debt financing, debt relief, and debt restructuring. Lastly, advocating and networking for increased level of decentralized cooperation. In a small scope of local economic and finance plan for citizens in employability aspect, support responsible local business, which keep money circulating in the community and provide jobs. Second, promote equitable labor practice at the global scale to sustainable, fair trade consumer. Third, attract business and workforce to transparent and accountable practice and proper management of city budgets. Enhance high quality education to develop a skilled workforce and fight poverty. Fifth, address youth unemployment challenge. Sixth, endorse accessible and efficient transportation networks that stimulate freedom of movement. And lastly, encourage greater citizen participation in local economic planning, attracting and retaining family and residents in the community. Don't we forget and negligence. We in developing and applying Islamic country that implement Maqasid Syariah in every aspect. Must take an action and assess issues of corruption. Strengthen governance by promoting accountability and fighting corruption is a right move that we take as Doriyah and full responsibility for it, not just for general administration but internal management for every government leaders. From that way, we can channel institutional and financial resources to the most deprived areas, and finally we keep circulate Islamic approach of financially management in country. So, for overall, we just not focusing on designing in aesthetic view, but develop big impact and detailing on approaching whole of Islamic country by SDG and Maqasid Syariah. That's all. Next to moderator.
Thank you from the very clear in explain his role, which give a big impact to achieve the sustainable Islamic development. So we know right now that Islam got very clear in describing the welfare and also protecting the economy. Then the most clear information is from someone that very relate to it, the field, which we would like to hear some opinion from our famous architect in this country, which is A.R. Nurlis Salmi, as to make clear about how the architect should do as a good architecture in achieve both sustainable development goal and Maqasid Syariah. Please share with us.
Okay, thank you, our moderator, Encik Muhammad Hafizi. Okay, so sustainable development is a general belief that all human endeavors should promote the longevity of the planet and its inhabitants. So what architects call the built environment should not harm the earth or deplete its resources. Builders, architects, designers, community planners, and real estate developers strive to create buildings and communities that will neither deplete natural resources nor negatively impact the earth functioning. Okay, so the goal is to meet today's needs using renewable resources that the needs of future generation will be provided for. Okay, so sustainable development attempts to minimize greenhouse gases, reduce global warming, preserve environmental resources, and provide communities that allow people to reach their fullest potential. Okay, in the field of architecture, sustainable development also has been known as sustainable design, green architecture, eco-design, eco-friendly architecture, earth-friendly architecture, environmental architecture, and also natural architecture. Okay, so when people construct things, many processes take place to actualize the design. Okay, so the goal of a sustainable building project is to use materials and processes that will have little impact on the continued functioning of the environment. Okay, for example, using local building materials and local laborers limits the pollution effects of transportation, and non-polluting construction practices and industry should have little harm on the land, sea, and air. Okay, so protecting natural habitats and remediating neglected or contaminated landscape can reverse damage caused by previous generation. And also any resources used should have a planned replacement. So these are the characteristics of sustainable development. Okay, so architects should specify materials that do not harm the environment at any stage of their life cycle. Okay, from first manufacturing to end of use recycling, natural, biodegradable, and recycled building materials are becoming more and more common. So developers are turning to renewable sources for water and renewable energy. Sources such as solar and wind. Okay, so green architecture and eco-friendly building practices promote sustainable development, as do workable communities and mixed-use communities that combine residential and commercial activities. Aspects of like smart growth, and the new urbanism. Okay, so this also comply with the 70 Sustainable Development Goals, and one of it that I would like to highlight is industry, innovation, and infrastructure. Okay, so sustained investment in infrastructure and innovation are very crucial drivers of economic growth and development, which over half of the world population now living in cities. Mass transport and renewable energy are becoming ever more important, as are the growth of new industry and information and communication technologies. Okay, so technological progress is also key to finding lasting solution to both economic and also environmental challenges, such as providing new jobs and promoting energy efficiency, promoting sustainable industry, and investing in scientific research and innovation are all important ways to facilitate sustainable development. Okay, so investment in infrastructure and innovation is one of 17 global goals that make up the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development. So, an integrated approach is crucial for progress across the multiple goals. And this also comply with the Maqasid Syariah that we had learned. Okay, so in Islamic perspective, the Maqasid al-Syariah encompassing the five SDGs of protection, such as life, belief, honor, intellect, and property, which in other words give a peaceful, clean, and decent living. Okay, so according to Ahmadi 2016, the sustainable development in Islamic perspective is based on understanding that the role of human being is based on responsibility and to care for the nature, and it depends on mainly in safeguarding the benefits from all spectrum, including the animal kingdom and the environment. So, according to the Islamic appreciation as per Ahmadi also 2016, humankind is not the owner but only the meager manager to ensure upkeep in most judicious way, as the mankind is entrusted to ensure wisdom and civility in every way in terms of bringing harmony to greater society, nature, and the human life. Okay, in addition, Ahmadi also stated that wastage is strictly forbidden in an Islamic society because Islam disallows unscrupulous depletion and degradation to the environment, and failing to protect the environment is rather a failure of mankind in guardianship towards being honest steward of this nature. So Islam derive a balance between economic and also social development in one side and the environmental importance on the other side to maintain efficient and effective resource usage. Because Allah proclaims in the Holy Scriptures, and there is no creature on or within the earth or bird that flies with its wings except that they are communities like you. We have not neglected in the register a thing, then unto their lot they will be gathered. Based on Surah 6, verse 38. So, Islam encourages community well-being is as an important aspect in terms of attaining Islamic sustainability or the Maqasid, and also Islam prioritizes the importance of attaining better living condition, including education, targeting improved healthcare for the masses, and care for the ecological balance in realizing the Maqasid. Okay, so human are mere beneficiary and not the owner to do whatever they want through free and through free will, and that's the Islamic position of humans on earth. So human needs to ensure peace and harmony with nature and with every individual, every social elements or environmental economic interest, and need to conform to sustainable understanding. Okay, in architecture and design, the emphasis on sustainable development is on the conservation of environmental resources. However, the concept of sustainable development is often broadened to include the protection and development of human resources. Communities founded on principle of sustainable development may strive to provide abundant educational resources, career development opportunities, and social services, and United Nations Sustainable Development Goals are inclusive. Even before the UN's Goal 13, architect realized that the urban built environment is responsible for most of the world's fossil fuel consumption and greenhouse gas emissions. So, Architecture 2030 set this challenge for architects and builders. All new buildings, developments, and major renovation shall be carbon neutral by 2030. Okay, for example, Australian architect Glenn Murcutt is often held up as an architect who practices sustainable design, and his projects are developed for and placed on site that have been studied for the natural element of rain, wind, sun, and earth. For example, the roof of the Magni house was designed specifically to capture rainwater for use within the structure. And also, for example, in Malaysia, the Pulau Banding Rainforest Research Centre is built in the middle of Belum Temonggong Forest Complex, and this building's main promise is keeping the development sustainable on this environmentally vulnerable island. And the existing trees on the land will keep in place, and the staff are even encouraged to keep a green space made of the native trees. And this research center has definitely merged technology with nature, and it's a great way of looking after jungles while trying to maintain a healthy environment. Okay, therefore, there is no limitation or restriction when it comes to sustainable development in architecture. So we need to have a look or read on the both sides in terms of the sustainable development goals itself, and also Maqasid Syariah, as they play a crucial role in achieving sustainable architecture. Okay, that's all from me.
Okay, thank you. What a wonderful share from our best architecture, and make us very clear on how the architect should do to achieve the sustainable Islamic development. Thanks on that sharing, because and I would like to remind that all architecture that you need to hear on what our architecture tell us from this to know that whether we are doing it right or wrong. So, without wasting our time, now I would like to call someone which given a big role in manage all the input in sustainable toward our next generation, which here we are with Prof. Madia Cik Izzati binti Marzuke, who is a professor in Fakulti Quran Sunnah from University Science Islam Malaysia, to elaborate more about the sustainable Islamic development, and we would like to know about how the zakat play a big role to solve the sustainable development goals itself. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for our moderator, Encik Hafizi. Okay, so Al-Quran state, God create the nature which potency inside which support the human life. Although available in a large quantity, the potency can be optimized by human in good manner. So the future generation has the same opportunity to optimize the potency. So it will be easy to sit back and assume that achieving equitable quality in education for all is up to government and international organization. However, young people have responsibilities in educations too. As an educator, it will be our responsibility to make students play an important role in holding all others to account if they fail to meet their responsibilities, as they are represent for next generation of to rule the country. So we from ayah surah 38 ayah 27, we did not create the sky and the earth and whatever is between them in vain. That is conjecture of the faithless, so to the faithless for the fires. So I would love to share about Prophet Muhammad Mosque, Masjid Nabawi. When Prophet Muhammad arrived in Medina from Mecca Hijrah, the first task relating to the rural environment that he embarked on fulfilling was building the city central mosque, also called the Prophet Mosque. When completing the form of the mosque was extremely simple. It consists of enclosure with wall made of bricks and the arcade on the Qibla side toward Mecca, made of palm trunk use a column to support a roof and palm leaf and mud. So, it is material is very important. Aspect in architecture process. It can encompass wide range such as stone, brick, wood, steel, roofing, cement, and so on. It's suitable architecture. Is sustainable architecture. It's better to use local material or resources around the sites. This will reduce the carbon footprint, which is usually high if using other place material. According to BSI 2008 in Peter and Solly 2010, carbon footprint is the total of emission which is produced through human activity, production, destruction, and consumption, recycle, and reusing. In terms of using or other place material, carbon footprint will produce especially from transformation of material. In Islam, using local material will give the benefit for people surrounding. The business itself will grow and require more labor. The inhabited surrounding will have better quality of life because of better income. Using the material from surrounding. Using the material from surrounding will increase the economy of community, which affect the economy growth in place. The concept of spreading benefit is maximally applied in the case. As educator, it was our responsibility to make sure people treasure the old material, then use new material that cause destruction to achieve the SDG goals 7, which is affordable and clean energy. Then I would like to share about zakah. So we must realize how important zakah is as its whole some goal-based SDG. Of the 17 points of SDG, the zakah movement outlines the 11 issues of poverty eradication, elimination of hungers, improving health quality, providing decent education, gender equalities, clean water and sanitation, energy, economic growth, reducing inequalities, climate change and partnership. So the scholar also support the utilization of zakah to support the achievement of SDG. The property of zakah, infak, aim and wakaf can be utilized for development of clean water and sanitation facilities as one of the objective of SDG. Sorry. Okay. The law of zakah is mandatory, which is a religious command set out in Surah Al-Hadid verse 7. Have faith in Allah and His Messenger and speak some of your treasure that Allah has made you certified. Then those who believe among you and speak some their verse earn and great reward. Fundamentally, zakat can not only fulfill the legal and substance of Sharia, but it also relatively easier to promote social faith and alignment to the real sector of Sharia itself. The zakat must be able to spearhead the fulfillment of existing Maqasid Sharia. Zakat should have more right to use the framework of Maqasid Sharia, taking all its process. Although the receipt of the zakat is determined to the indigents, poor, amil, converts, riqab, karim, the indebted, fisabilillah, who fought in the way of Allah, and Ibn Sabil, who was on the way. The real manifestation of the destruction of zakat in form of destruction of existed in the form of consumptive, which is intended for fulfillment of food, clothing, home renovation, destruction for formal and informal education, and for the head given to mustahik who is entitled to suit it as enough. In In addition to the destruction in the form of consumptive destruction of zakat fund is also in the form of economy empowerment of people for productive zakat is done as a effort to open wider access to the mustahik to independent and encourage mustahik be muzaki environment respectively. The element of objective to achieve from Maqasid Syariah and SDG become highly relevant. Relationship between SDG and Maqasid Syariah show that zakat has an important role in success of sustainable development that has been practiced 1,000 years ago. From the first point to the fourth, which is Syariah of the highest point is pointing in harmony, which is purpose of SDG. The result of zakat relationship analysis and SDG is very clear, which is conclusion. First, zakat is one of the financial instrument that aim to improve maqasid of individual syariah. Second, the purpose of zakat itself is wider when compared with purpose of SDG. Thirdly, objectively, if examined from the perspective of purpose of zakat, the goal of SDG has highest weight, which the order of uh, economic field, education, social humanity, health, and dawah. Okay, that's all.
Okay, thank you. So from now, we can see that on how back 1,400 years ago, our Prophet has guided us to achieve these sustainable development goals by using the Islamic West. So as Muslim, we need to make as Madinah, the Masjid Nabawi is our main role to achieve this. Not the other country, not the Paris, not the other country lah. Okay? So, right now, we already hear from the leader. But we will not forget about our next generation, which is new generation that will bring the better future to our country. So I bring to you Nur Farihah as a student architecture, as representative council from University Malaya to say some word to make a more clear toward our topic in young generation view. So let's hear together.
Thank you, Mr. Hafizi, our great moderator today. So I would like to say, a student activism has an important role to play in achieving the Sustainable Development Goals and the Agenda 2063, including the Continental Education Strategy for Africa 2016 until 2025, as articulated by the United Nations and the African Union in achieving a successful contribution to build a new township compliance. So in a hadith Qudsi, Allah said, "My love is due to those who love one another in my cause, who spend in my cause, and those who visit each other in my cause." Mu'atta Imam Malik. So it can be said that all of the people in the world held a great responsibilities to be contribute in creating this goal so that we can create a huge success in the world and also in the hereafter, including a person as a student like me. So, according to the SDGs number 4, quality education, it enables upward socio-economic mobility and is a key to escaping poverty. Over the past decade, major progress was made towards increasing access to education and school enrollment rates at all levels, particularly for girls. So, nevertheless, about 260 million children were still out of school in 2018. So nearly one-fifth of the global population in that age group, and more than half of all children and adolescents worldwide are not meeting minimum proficiency standard in reading and mathematics. So in this year 2021, as the COVID-19 pandemic spread across the globe, a majority of countries announced the temporary closure of school, impacting more than 91% of students worldwide. So by April 2020, close to 1.6 billion children and youth were out of school. So, and nearly 369 million children were relying on school meals needed to look to other sources for daily nutrition. So, never before have so many children been out of school at the same time, disrupting learning and upending lives, especially the most vulnerable and marginalized. So, the the global pandemic has far-reaching consequences that will jeopardize hard-won gains made in improving global education. So in this case, we as a student must overlook to the reason for our study and education. As a student, it is important for us to keep supporting each other, to keep study and learning due to this pandemic, as the knowledge is very important for the future generation and as it is also a parallel to the one of the important application in the Maqasid Syariah, which is the protection of mind, hifzu al-amr. If we keep to our niat to study and learn because of Allah, nothing can prevent us in success. So this obstruction is created for us because Allah know everyone that is going through these challenges is the one that is strong and capable for it. In Surah Al-Baqarah verse 218:6, Allah said, Allah does not obligate anyone beyond his capacity. Therefore, nobody can go through these pandemic challenges and it is designated for us. There are many kinds of ways for us to keep learning, studying, and sharing our knowledge nowadays. The applications such as Zoom, Google Meets, and Teams are one of the medium that can connect us in studying online and stay together learning with all the friends. Besides, due to the pandemic, a lot of website and application is created which can encourage us to enjoy our learning process such as the study stream, study buddy and many more. So we might also be one of the people that can create a more enjoying platform to encourage all the students around the globe in studying. So these opportunities at the same time can lead to an achievement in our SDGs goals number 9, which is the industries, innovation and infrastructure. So in conclusion, student activities can serve as pressure groups for meeting in SDGs through participation in dialogues or protest movement, and by using social media tools to galvanize support, students can demand implementation of sustainable development plans. Besides, it also a command from Allah in sharing and preserving the knowledge to everyone and to the next generation. So this can include embracing the innovation ideas of students, promoting technological tools at their disposal, supporting and nurturing student activism by imparting to and inculcating in students certain skills and values as part of capacity development. That's all.
So what we get is when we do something, we are back to our niat. So the best student will never take that's the pressure from the COVID-19. They will sure proceed and make our country become more beautiful. Thank you so much from the good explanation from young age that given us no worries about our future country. At the end, we should know we are being created by Allah Subhanahu wa Taala as the one that ruled the world as Khalifah. They bring the good to the world itself, not being distracted or become more worse. The sanction of Quran Sunnah, the translation of Quran, Al-Baqarah, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim, should awaken the human that human has big responsibility to keep the prosperity to the world. When your Lord said to the angels, indeed, I'm going to set a visionary on the earth, they said, will you set in it someone who will cause corruption in it and shed blood, while we celebrate your praise and proclaim your sanctity? He said, indeed, I know what you do not know. And we know right now and very clear that the Sustainable Development Goals has been explained about 1,400 from past year, and all of it has been recorded by our only guidance, which is Al-Quran and As-Sunnah. So as Muslim, we need to practice the method in achieve our new township that achieve sustainable development goals and at the same time follow Allah's way. As Allah said in Al-Quran, as in Hadith, I will leave you two things, and you will not go astray as long as you adhere to it, namely the book of Allah, which is Al-Quran, and the Sunnah of His Prophet, Sunnah Rasulullah SAW. Hadith narrated by Imam Malik. Okay, thank you, and very, very thank you for all that being share your opinion that will bring the bright future for us together. And I will end this talk here with Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and see you guys for the next show. Remember, clear the ignorance and become the importance.
Okay, thank you so much.